when a frail old woman handed over her last $10 to a stranded biker on the highway. She assumed she'd never cross paths with him again. But the next day, the thunder of 50 engines rolled down her street, and what they brought shifted her life forever. Stay with this till the end because it will remind you that Kinnis always returns home. Her $10 pension check it was meant to cover heating fourth night. Yet something in her heart murmured, "Help him now," she whispered softly, sliding the bills into his hand. "It's little, but it'll get you some gas." He stared at the money, stunned. "Ma'am, I can't accept this." She smiled warmly. "You look like someone's child, and why Jimmy was still alive and stranded somewhere. I'd hope someone would help him too." Her words hung in the cold air. He looked at her, speechless. After a long pause, he took the money with shaking fingers. "Thank you, ma'am. I'll repay you. I swear." She shook her head. "Just promise you'll help someone else when the time comes." He nodded, eyes shining. He fueled up, waved farewell, then vanished into the distance with the roaring growl of his bike. Martha smiled faintly, pulling her thin coat close as she made her way home. That night, her small house felt darker than usual. The heater stayed silent. Wrapped in an old blanket, she shivered, whispering a quiet prayer for the biker she'd helped. She didn't know her single act of kindness was about to echo far beyond anything she imagined. The next morning, Martha woke to a sound she didn't recognize, a deep rumble, like a distant thunder rolling in. She assumed it was a storm until it grew louder, then closer. Then right outside her door, she moved to the window, heart racing. Her breath hitched. Outside, lining the whole street, stood dozens of motorcycles, shining, rumbling, powerful. Around 50 riders, all in leather coats, their engine idling like a chorus of steel. T the front stood the young biker from the night before, the same one she'd handed her last 10 to. He lifted off his helmet and smiled up at her window. "Morning, Miss Martha. Told you I'd be back." She stepped outside carefully, eyes widening. "Oh my goodness. What is all this?" The biker grinned. "I told the crew what Al did for me. How you gave your final $10 to a stranger without asking for a thing in return." He gestured at the rows of riders behind him. "These men and women, they're my family. And when they heard your story, we knew we had to act." Martha covered her mouth as a tear slid down. Then one of the riders, a woman with fiery hair, stepped forward and handed Martha a pair of keys. Martha stared down, confused. "What's this?" The biker smiled gently. "Your new home." Martha's knees nearly buckled. What?" The young man nodded. "We learned your roof is collapsing, your heater's dead, and you've been scraping by on almost nothing. So we took up a collection, brought in a few sponsors. Every rider pitched in, and yesterday, we finished something special." He pointed up the street. To the end sat a freshly painted, warm-looking cottage with a tiny garden, a porch swing, and a ramp instead of steps. "That's yours, Miss Martha." "Completely yours," Martha gasped, hands trembling. "I don't deserve this." The young man smiled softly. "You deserve more than this, ma'am. You showed us that own small kindness can spark a wildfire." The bikers erupted, engines roaring in a thunderous cheer that filled the air with heat and life. Neighbors stepped outside to watch as tears ran freely down Martha's face. She whispered through shaky breaths, "I only gave 10, and you gained 50 hearts in return," the biker murmured. "That's how kindness works." Martha walked toward her new home, her steps light and unbelieving. She brushed her hand along the fresh white paint, inhaled the scent of new wood, then looked back at the riders smiling proudly. She lifted her frail hand and said, "Thank you, all of you. You've given me more than a house. You've given me hope." The engines roared one more time before the bikers rolled away, their rumble fading like a distant thunder after a storm. Martha stood on her porch and whispered, "Henry, looks like the world still has good souls after all. In a world that often feels cold, even a 10 kindness can ignite a fire warm enough for 100 hearts. Because sometimes the smallest good deed becomes the greatest emerald."